know we should be using social media, but at times it is just overwhelming to figure out where we even start. From Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat. There's so many different social channels. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting started and where we should get started. Hey guys, I'm Josh Pitts and I'm excited to be taking a few minutes and giving you a few tips to really help you get started when it comes to dominating on social media, building your brand, and creating influence. Let's jump into these next few tips. Tip number one is you have to choose your network. We've all heard the saying before, a jack of all trades and a master of none. When it comes to starting with social media, you have to pick a social network, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. You need to pick one and really become a master of it, because again, if you try to be on every single social channel, especially in the beginning, you're gonna get overwhelmed. And when you get overwhelmed when it comes to social media, you're not gonna wanna do it at all. So pick a network. What network are you currently using right now where you feel comfortable doing making videos, putting out content? Whatever channel that is, that's just fine. And whatever is good for you may be not great for me. All of us have different social networks that we're really, really good at. So whichever one you feel most confident and comfortable with right now, choose that one, run with it, and start putting out the content. And again, it's better to do a good job, a great job on one of them than do an okay job on everything. Because also, when you choose this network, it's really going to be a factor on what type of content you're starting to put out to your audience. What you put on Facebook, what you put on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, it's different content. So you need to make sure you're choosing the right network for you. Again, whether you want to focus on videos, pictures, the written word, pick a social network and really stick within the beginning, and I promise you, as you continue to do that, you'll start to see your impact, your influence, and your audience really start to resonate and start to connect with the content you're putting out. Tip number two is about creating content. And as I like to say, and that I learned from my great mentor, and probably somebody who puts out more content than anybody on the planet, Gary Vaynerchuk, he says, document, don't create. Guys, it is that simple. So many people get hung up on like, well, Josh, what content should I be putting out? What videos? What should I be saying? Ladies and gentlemen, just start documenting the process. And I know in your mind, you're like, nobody cares. People don't think, they don't want to watch me as a loan officer. They don't want to watch my daily. They actually do, because it's something they're not experiencing. Just because you experience the daily life of a loan officer and what you're doing, it may seem boring to you, but to others, there are parts of that that are really exciting that they may not know about. So start documenting the wins, the hardships, the trials, the successes that you experience every single day. Start sharing that with people. That's what's really going to connect with them. Human nature, we love seeing the things that other human beings experience every single day. So start documenting the process and don't worry so much about content creation. The next part of that is watch what your competition is doing. As Austin Kleon says, steal like an artist, which, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of my favorite things when it comes to creating content, because you can watch what other mortgage professionals are doing throughout the industry. And just because somebody posts something as a loan officer, sometimes the mentality we have is like, well, they just posted it. I can't post it because people think I'm copying them. My audience already saw that. No, they didn't. Your audience, your demographic is completely different. Even if you're in the same town most of the time, the audience that is watching you is different from the audience of that other loan officer. So it's totally okay to watch what your competition is doing, to steal from your competition. Now, don't copyright. Don't be one of those people who, like a Jay Shetty, who's stealing all this great information and calling it your own. Find great content, put your own little twist and spin on it, and then there you go. That's great content. So watching your competition is everything. For example, if I was going to go start a rideshare company and I wanted to compete with Uber and Taxi and Lyft, I would go replicate Uber. I would watch what they're doing and be like, wow, Uber is completely dominating the space, so they're a great person to replicate. I'm gonna go watch what they're doing and then start doing the same thing. Exact same practice when it comes to social media, and it comes to starting to post content and create content. Replicate what others are doing in the space, and that will start to help you gain confidence as well. And then one of the biggest questions I get asked is like, Josh, do I need a camera? Do I need audio? What do I need? Ladies and gentlemen, I just use my phone. For the first 6-8 months when I was really starting to build my brand, starting to use social media, don't overthink the equipment you need. Just start using your phone. Start holding it in front of you. Sometimes you may be thinking, well, I don't look dumb doing a selfie. Who cares? People, it's absolutely okay. You have to be comfortable getting uncomfortable. That's absolutely part of when it comes to creating content, documenting the process. And I promise you, as you start to do it, people will really start to connect with you and all that you are building, because that's what this is all about, is creating that connection and building those relationships, which leads us right into tip number 3. Tip number 3 is creating connections and building relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, it's called social media for a reason. We're there to be social. We're there to create connections, build relationships. That's what this industry is all about, is creating long-lasting relationships. People who are going to come back to us time and time again. They trust us, they respect us, they're loyal to us. So as you start to create this content, keep in mind that that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to make a connection with these people. Now, of course, start with people that you know. If you're at any time you close a transaction, you should be sending that new client, that new transaction you just closed, you should be sending them a friend request on Facebook or on LinkedIn, whatever channel, like we talked about in tip number 1, whatever channel you chose, you should be connecting with them. Make sure they connect with you, vice versa. You want to connect with them as well, because there are times where you're going to be able to share their content, which we're going to get into a later video. That's going to help both of you. Again, it's about building relationships. It's not a one-sided thing. And once you start with your friends, your family, people that you already know, that's where it's easy to start making those connections and building those relationships. But when you start to branch out and you start saying, well, where can I find new people? Where can I start to find people that are not already in my sphere? Guys, social media is full of those people. Start getting involved with community pages. There are so many community pages out there on social media that you can get involved in, that you can actually add value to. Now, don't be one of those people that you just join a community on Facebook or a community group on LinkedIn or wherever, and you just start throwing out there, guys, I'm a loan officer. You should use me if you're looking to refinance or buy a home. If you do that, people are not going to connect with you. You're going to sell them. People don't want to be sold. People want to work with people they have relationships with. And that's what this is all about, creating those relationships, creating those connections. So use these different community pages. Maybe you can even start a community page, get people involved. There are so many different opportunities that you can use when it comes to social media to start building a new audience. You sometimes just have to think outside of the box and start, as again, when you start to grow your audience, find those little places that you can add value. You can really share your knowledge and expertise to really help others. But not just help others, you can also respond and you can engage with those people. Maybe somebody makes a comment in one of those groups and you're able to go respond like, hey, Josh, that was a great question. I actually have the answer right here. And then you respond. Now you just added value in that group. And again, people are really going to start connect with you and your relationships are going to grow. Even if people see you interacting with somebody else, they're going to say, wow, John is a great expert, or he clearly understands mortgage. I need to make sure I reach out to him next time I have a mortgage question. And that again, that's tip number 3 when it comes to building connections and creating relationships on social media. Tip number 4, don't go for followers. One of the biggest mistakes that I see when beginners just start using social media is they think they need to have 1 million followers to really be able to build their brand, to create influence. Ladies and gentlemen, that is absolutely false. That is not true. And I always say it's better to have 1,000 engaged followers, or even 100 engaged followers is way better than 1 million followers and you only have 2 or 3 people liking your posts. When it comes to starting to build that brand, starting to create influence on social media, you really want to build that engagement, build that trust like we talked about in the last tip with that audience. So just start with those people you know. Start building that connection. Start building that relationship, because again, even if you have 1 million followers and you only have a couple of them actually engaged and starting to respond and making that connection, it's not beneficial to you. Just because sometimes we see influencers in the industry, they think they have to have these great numbers for people to respect them. That's just not the case. And as a matter of fact, we're probably never going to get to 1 million followers. I'm never going to get to 1 million followers, which is totally okay. I'm able to really make an impact and influence those who are in my sphere, those 100, 200, 500, 1,000 people that I'm able to engage with on a regular basis. Guys, don't go after numbers. Really go deep and build relationships with those people you're already starting to connect with. Tip number 5 is don't rush people immediately into your business. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people making is when they're out there, when they first get involved with social media, they want to rush out and tell all their followers that, hey, I'm a loan officer, this is why I'm here, I'm going to help you with your refinance or buy a new home. And that is the biggest thing. Guys, people don't want to be sold. they really don't want to be pushed in one direction or another. They want to build that trust, they want to build that confidence in you, which takes time. And it's absolutely okay. It took me months and months to build a brand. And some of the loan officers that I talk to daily, they've been doing it a lot longer than me, and they're just starting to see the fruits of building a brand, starting to build influence via social media. So it's okay that it takes time. We don't want to be that guy that's out there selling toilet paper because he knows everybody's using toilet paper, everybody needs toilet paper, and he's rushing out to you and say, hey, I've got the best toilet paper, you should use me, I'm incredible, this is why you should do it. You'll be like, whoa, dude, you're free, I don't want to buy your toilet paper. But if he's out there and he's building confidence and trust, like the Charmin Bear, we all love the Charmin Bear now, they build that trust and that confidence, so we're willing to buy toilet paper from him. Don't be that weird guy or gal who's running up to somebody and just telling everybody, hey, look at me, this is why you should use me. Social media is not that type of platform. If you're trying to do that, you're actually going to do more damage to your brand than you would taking the time, building the confidence, building the trust, and those relationships. So don't rush out and try to sell everybody on who you are and what you're doing. Be willing to take a little bit of time, and I promise you, in the long run, it's going to pay off big. So I've given you these 5 incredible tips to really get started when it comes to using social media, but I want to give you a bonus tip. That's right, we go above and beyond. We try to give you everything you possibly can because we want to see you win on social media. So my bonus tip for you is you have to be consistent. When it comes to everything that we've talked about, if you're not consistent putting out regular content, nobody's going to continue to stay engaged. You can't just expect to put up one post and everybody starts to throw money at you. Everybody's built that trust, built that confidence via one post. It just doesn't happen. You have to start setting goals, and whether that goal is once a week, twice a week, 3 times, once or twice a day, you have to set a goal and you have to stay consistent because again, your audience, those people you're connecting with, the ones you're building relationships with, if they don't see that regular content from you, they're gonna, like anything else, they're gonna forget about you. You have to stay top of mind, and that's what's so critical about being consistent on social media. I promise you, yes, it's gonna take a little bit of work, but as you do, you're gonna start to see your audience grow, become more engaged with you. And again, that's how leveraging social media is what all that we're talking about here, these different tips that we've given you. Once you start to leverage the power of social media, not only are you going to see your influence and your impact start to grow within your local community, but your business is going to start to grow as well, which ultimately, that's our goal, is to help you get more connected and to grow your audience. So with that, again, I hope you love these 5 tips, and the next few videos that we're going to be sharing with you, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper on each one of these platforms: Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. So whichever one you've chosen, we want to make sure you have everything you possibly need to go out there and crush it as you continue to build your brand.